guys, welcome to Out and About, and today we're talking all about light. Light is one of those magical ingredients that you can add to your photos that will take them from being just average to something that is really, really special. What you need to start learning to do is just looking for light wherever you are. This is a habit that you just have to start building inside yourself, is noticing light. And once you get used to seeing light, your photography is going to be just so much better, and you're going to be pulling off results that will surprise people. The subject of light is just too vast for me to cover in one of these short videos, but let me just give you some examples of what you're dealing with when we're talking about light. Of course, you're asking yourself, well, how do I notice good versus bad light? And what I would say to you is, don't think of it in those terms. Don't think of light as being good and bad. Just think of it as presenting different opportunities. So for example, there is really harsh light. So think midday, summer. That's really hard light, and that has its benefits. So during a day when there's like a lot of bright sunlight, your colors are going to be a lot more vivid. You're going to be able to freeze motion more. You're going to be able to look at things like texture in more detail because there's a lot of light. Then there are days when the light is quite even. Right now I'm standing in a shaded atmosphere, so the light is a little bit softer. There's less detail, there's less texture, it's less harsh. And if you were taking a portrait of someone, people might like this kind of light because it's less detail. So things don't appear so harsh. You don't get to see all the pimples and bumps on people's faces and the shadows because the light is more even. Then you've got different colors of light. So you've got warm light. Think about a sunset. That's a warm kind of light. Then you've got cool light. Think about winter. It's a very cool kind of light, and all these different types of light give you a feeling. On top of that, you start getting things like where the light is coming from. So if the light is behind someone, that has an impact, because you may see that there's a rim around the edges of the person, and that can feel really magical when you've got light being a halo around someone. If the light is coming directly from in front of someone, that can have the effect of flattening out their features. You don't get to see the curves of their face can just look washed out. If you can think of light coming from below, a strong, small light, think of a torch when people are sat around the fire telling stories and someone shines a light as they tell a ghost story. You get these crazy shadows. Obviously, if you're trying to take a portrait, that's a terrible sort of light, but for that occasion, that small source of hard light is very, very cool and useful in that context. So I say all this to say there are quite a few variables when dealing with light. You get different things that will influence the quality of light that's falling on your subjects. So for example, if you've got a small light, that's going to have a certain kind of effect. It might be a bit more harsh. If you've got a huge light, it can be more even and it can be more soft and pleasing. Natural light obviously is the kind of light most people are used to seeing, but you also get artificial light, and that comes with its own challenges. So sometimes you've got tungsten lights, which are typically the light bulbs that most people have in their homes with the filament in them. They give off a yellowy orange kind of light, and that might be a light that you don't like because it gives your photos an orangey cast, or because you're trying to maintain the ambiance of the room you're in. You may like that. The other side is that you may get fluorescent lights, which are typically the tube lights, which are just really long and very bluish and greenish in the kind of tint they give off, and you may find that you don't like that look in your photos. The angle, as I said before, that the light is coming at you from, whether it's coming from behind, if it's straight on, if it's coming from an angle, all these things influence what your photos are going to look like. So where does that leave you? There's so many things going on with light. Where do you possibly begin without having to study light? Well, what I would suggest is look at your favorite photos and just see how light is used in those photos. Look at your favorite films. And the reason I suggest films is because directors of photography spend a lot of time crafting the perfect lighting for each scene. And so they are people who really understand how light can influence a mood. Light creates mood. And when you start looking at light, look at how it's used in your movies and just get used to looking at it around the house, seeing how hard it is, how soft it is, how warm it is, or how not. And I believe that that's going to take your photography to a new level as you start getting comfortable with the kinds of light that impress you. So I'm going to definitely have to do a proper video all about light, but I hope that's a nice little introduction that gives you something that you can start working with right away where it comes to light. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that. If you did, please subscribe, and until next time, I am the Visual Magpie. Salute.